This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Okay, so welcome everyone. I will go through the roll call, and then anyone who's not on my committee list, I will we'll go through some introductions as well. So let me know if you're here. Shelly Entrikin.
Here.
Barb Long. Doug Manick. Audra Miles.
Here.
Joe Coffin. Craig Boynton. Hannah Fuchs. David Luders.
Here.
Mary Patton.
Here.
Shamra Robinson.
Here.
Tracy Dowell.
Here.
J. Thomas Howes. Sierra Smith. Max Schneider. Tyler Rogers. Sean Griffin. Don Harper.
Here.
Jody Scott.
Here.
Angel Marinich. Renee Razzo. Chris Mitchell. Don Rulis. And Greg Cassidy.
Yep.
Let me see if we've got a quorum. All right, not quite a quorum, but we can still move on. And in terms of other folks who are here, I've got Lindsay Kerr from Lifeline Pilots. And actually, this is your first time here, so I'll put you on the spot. Do you want to do a short introduction for yourself?
I would love to. Thank you. Yeah, Jody Scott with Advocates for Access told me about your group. I wasn't aware that this group existed. I'm the executive director of Lifeline Pilots, and we do free air transportation for people who need to travel between 100 and 1,000 miles for medical or humanitarian needs. So we're probably a little bit different to what you all do on a day-to-day basis, but when people need to travel outside of our local region, that's where we can help provide equal access. There's never a cost involved. We're located in Peoria, but we serve 10 states in the Midwest. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to be part of this meeting today.
All right, sounds great. I also see Mary Fouch. You want to do just a brief introduction as well?
Hi, my name's Mary Fouch. I'm with the City of Galesburg Transportation. I'm filling in for Craig today. I'm the transit assistant, so I'm excited to be here as well.
All right, that's right. I forgot you did talk to me about that, so thank you for the reminder. All right, so let me just make a note here. Okay, I've got Katie Dedman. You want to just say a couple words?
Hi, I am the Community Program Coordinator with Western Illinois Area Agency on Aging. We serve Knox County in this region. We also serve 9 other counties, but they are in other HSTP areas.
All right, thanks. And then it looks like Marie from Ivy Sill. Or you want just to mention what you do there? Maybe your sound is not working. Is there anyone else who I did not call? I think I got everyone. Okay, so we will move forward. Is there any public comment today? Moving on to the approval of the December 6 minutes. So we are just shy of a quorum. Let me do a quick double check.
Jim.
10. Jim Brenner. All right, Jim Brenner's here. He's with the Washington Township. So right now we're on the minutes, and we got another caller. Who just joined us?
Chris Mitchell.
All right, so now we have a quorum. You are our final person. Thanks for coming.
Sorry, I was having technical difficulty.
No worries, you came right at the right time. So we're about to approve the minutes. Does anyone have any comments? So I'll call for a motion and a second to approve the December 6, 2022 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
First from Greg, second from Chris. Any comments on the minutes? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving the December 6, 2022 minutes, say aye.
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 All right, all opposed, say nay. Excellent. The minutes have passed. Okay, moving on to the provider and agency updates. So we will go down the list and just talk about if there's anything new in your agency or just something you want to bring up for the group. And I'll just start at the top of my list here. So Shelley Entrikin from the Fulton County Rural Transit or Rehabilitation Center. Do you have anything to mention?
No, I don't have anything.
All right. How about Mary Vouch from Galesburg? Anything new going on with you?
Oh, nothing new. We're still working on that app, but other than that, applying for grants and continuing on.
All right, sounds good. And I see your message over here. I got Marie from Ivy Sill. Your sound isn't working. Okay, yep, thanks for noting that. Next on my list, I have David. Anything going on in Marshall County?
I'll let Tracy cover whatever she has.
All right. Okay, then I will just going by my list. So that'll be in a few people here. So moving on my list, I've got Mary Patton. Do you have any updates for AARP?
Yeah, well, we're starting a new House Bill 1376, Family Caregiver Tax Credit. We're taking a limited approach because we know we can't get everything we want right now. Family caregivers save the taxpayers' money. Otherwise, many of these people will have to go on Medicaid, and that affects the budget in our state. So I know it doesn't have to do with transportation, but we cover many issues. But I just want you to know about this in case you hear anything about the family caregiver tax credit. Thank you.
Right, sounds good. Thank you. Next up on my list, I have Shamra Robinson from the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District.
Good afternoon, everyone. So just a couple items. So there's going to be an ADA WOW committee event. We're very excited about that, and this discovery and learning session. And that's going to be on March 15th, which is a Wednesday from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Peoria Public Library main branch. And so this will be an opportunity for the public to learn effectively how to use transportation services offered by Greater Peoria Mass Transit District, particularly people that have mobility and disability challenges. So we just want to make sure that we are able to provide that information to everyone, and anybody is welcome to come to this event. And then the other thing is, I know that we have Jim on the line, so I don't want to steal any of his thunder, but we've been working with them on the Washington 5310 project and the extension of the pilot. So I'll let him talk a little bit more about it. It's very exciting.
Sure.
That
I'll
concludes my
jump in
report.
here. Jim Bremner. I'm with Washington Township, and we're very fortunate, if you will. We just finished our 6-month trial for the paratransit service through the urban Washington area. And we're excited that there is enough funding left, both the funds that the community put together as well as the grant, to get us through another 12 months. So the transit district has sent out a press release describing that, and I think that Rima had planned on sending that out to everybody after this meeting to let you know exactly how that was presented. But it's awesome that we've got it for another 12 months, and we'll be working with the transit district and other ways that we can to publicize what we have, to keep people encouraged and to encourage more ridership. We fixed a couple of small things in there where we had the area of Sunnyland, which is next to Washington. It's an unincorporated area. And we were charging those folks like $6 to come from Sunnyland to Washington, and we moved that back to $2, which is a typical ride on City Lift anyway. So that alleviated a problem there. Other than that, it's working the way it should, and everybody's really pleased with what we have, and that's what I have to say.
Right, that sounds great. Yeah, that started out as a 6-month pilot to help bring public transportation for people with disabilities to the city of Washington. And very happily, we're able to extend it for 12 more months. So I'm really happy that we were able to do that. All right, so next person I have here is Tracy Dowell from MSW Projects.
So we have just started training a new driver, which is nice because we've been so busy and it's taken a while to get people that would apply for being a driver. So that's a good thing. The other thing is we are preparing for our IDOT review, which is going to be in March. And so hopefully there's not too many new things we'll have to do on that end. But other than that, same old, same old.
All right, that sounds good. Let's see, I've got Dawn Harper next on my list. Do you have any updates about Epic?
Only right now, I'm actually looking for a bus driver. So if you know of anybody who's looking for a full-time job, 40 hours, I am hiring for a bus driver. But other than that, just trying to deal with the everyday transportation, the operation of it.
Okay, sounds good. Next is Jody Scott from Advocates for Access.
Okay, let's see. Well, I guess there are a couple of things. First of all, with Lifeline Pilots with Lindsay, which is great, but they also provide transportation. Like I was first informed of them by a friend of mine that was a nurse case manager at Blessing Hospital in Quincy. So even transportation within the state from one to the other. And again, the individuals that we interact with mostly have Medicaid and Medicare. So I'm just going to kind of throw that out because they're really able to fill in some of the gaps when it comes to transportation, as long as they meet the guidelines for being able to ride in their transportation. The other thing is the statewide Independent Living Council is collecting stories from consumers on transportation for advocacy efforts to see whether or not we can do something to advocate with our legislators for a statewide change or a statewide effort in improving transportation, both paratransit and not paratransit and regular transit. Now the focus is, of course, individuals with disabilities and people that need accessible transportation. So they are collecting stories for that. If anybody that has a story to tell, they're more than welcome to send it to my email here at the center.
All right, yeah, and if anybody does not have Jody's email, you can send it to me and I will forward it on to her. All right. And we've got 2 more here. So Chris Mitchell, do you have any comments or updates?
Well, I realized that I haven't ridden City Lift since December 12th, where I saw some of the finest driving I have ever seen in 11 and a half years. And, you know, it was not an easy situation. It was all unexpected. However, I would say that Shanice was training someone, and I could tell that she knew when to do the driving herself, and she knew how to solve problems. and we got stuck in a curved driveway, and she had to work probably an hour, and then when it was time to go home, the driver that came was the only driver on the road, and yet he was professional and well organized. And despite having worked since early that day, and it was after 9 when I personally got home, but he really did an awesome job. So that's my news, and I just feel that many times in paratransit, people talk about late, but they don't know, because I have never driven or understand the dilemmas that drivers face on the road. And they can be different for the general population like me, and the barriers can be different with contract riders. And so I hope that as a collective, that people tell their story accordingly and send it to Jody. And Jody was magnificent that night. She waited with the 3 of us who were waiting for a ride home, and the driver was the only one. She waited for, I don't think she got home till 9 o'clock either. So anyway, I'm surprising her with that disclosure, so I hope you're not offended, Jody. But thank you for the opportunity to say something.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it's always helpful to hear from the writer's perspective to see what little things go on like that. All right, and last but not least, we've got Greg Cassidy here in the room with us. You've got any updates?
Yeah, nothing on the TCRC side, but on the We Care side, just Trip Master training is just getting officially kicked off next week. So hopefully bringing that up to speed, and then just waiting on, we know we've been awarded different county grants and monies, but with the changeovers in leadership, they don't know how to release those funds yet. So we've got a lot of capital money sitting out there that we don't know yet how to collect. So
that would be very important to learn.
It is, yeah. We're waiting for somebody on the IDOT to get trained in that area so that they can tell us how to access the funds that they say are ours. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I hope that you can solve that soon.
Me too.
Okay, and I know that we have some other folks here, and Jim Bremner spoke about the Washington project. And I think we had actually some new folks join. I see John Corey is on the line. Do you have any comments for the group here? I see that you're muted. Yeah, we can't hear. So I know that John Corey is an advocate. He lives in Bloomington, but he used to live in the region, and he's got a lot of potential ideas. So just speak up if you can. Otherwise, we will. I'll ask about anybody else. Just anybody else who I introduced earlier. Do you have any updates for the group?
I have an update for WIAAA. Our 10-county area is rolling out a new caregiver support program, specifically for family caregivers of people with dementia. So in this region, that'll be through VNA in Galesburg. So if anyone is interested or knows someone who is a caregiver, they can point them in that direction.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have comments or updates? All right, so now we will move on to agenda item 5, which is the section 5310 urban funds call for projects. So this one is, I've got a presentation here. Let's see if I can share it. Can everybody see my screen? I know that, at least on my end, GoToMeeting has updated, so I see it a little bit differently. It's kind of a little smaller for me here. But regardless, even for the folks on the phone, I will talk more about this, so you will hear it anyway. All right, so 5310 funds, I'll go over what those are and who is eligible to apply. And I will make this kind of on the shorter end because not everyone on the call is eligible, so I don't want to talk for too long if this does not apply to you. So, yeah, I'm just going to go through the basics, the goals of the program, like I said, eligibility and the selection process. So when I say 5310, this is a funding stream from the Federal Transit Administration. So the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission receives these funds directly from the FTA because we have over 200,000 in our population of our Peoria metro area. So that's why we're special. Not every metropolitan agency receives these funds. And we actually split them with IDOT. So some of you have vehicles through the 5310 program, and that is from the IDOT side. So when Tri-County receives this allocation, we split it 55-45. We give 55% of it to IDOT for their consolidated vehicle procurement program, and agencies are able to apply for that for vehicles. And then the rest of the funds Tri-County receives, and we're able to put out a call for projects and have kind of different projects relating to increasing the mobility for seniors and people with disabilities. So that's the idea of what the funding really is, where it comes from. It does only apply to our urbanized area. Like I said, this doesn't apply to everyone on this call, but just wanted to show this is the region, and this map is actually also online. So I will send more of these resources after the call, so don't worry if you miss some of the information. This is the urbanized area around Peoria that it applies for. And the green on this map, I happen to show where the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District has their service, just as a comparison point, the green. So the goal of this program is really to increase the transportation needs of individuals with disabilities and older adults. Of course, if these funds help anybody else, then that is just a bonus. And we want to highlight the different transit options available and make them better where possible. The eligible recipients are government agencies, public transit providers, and nonprofits. Again, these all, the projects must affect the urbanized area. So this year, well, right now, we have $335,187 available. This is a combination of fiscal year 2021 and 2022 funds from the FTA, as well as 2 sets of COVID relief funds. There's a chance that this number might change. We're kind of pending the release of the 2023 funds, so we're not clear if that. It's possible it might increase, but we don't know. So right now we're going to stay with this number of 335,000. And there is a local match requirement depending on the type of project you select. So like I said, I won't go too deep into this, but just to give you an idea, there is one type of project you can do that requires 20% local funding is a capital project. So these could be, if you're a municipality, you could build a sidewalk up to a bus stop that does not have a sidewalk. You could be building a shelter around a bus stop, or even buying computer hardware for the organization. It could also be different types. So still under the realm of capital projects, it's got something called mobility management. This is a little bit more vague, but essentially it could pay for employee hours to develop projects relating to coordinating the scheduling of vehicles, coordinating with other organizations and things like that. So that's also 20% local funding. It's changing on my end. And then another type of activity is the operational project. And this is a 50% local match, and it could be things like expanding the hours of operation or the geography of existing service and just expanding it in that way. So if you would like to apply, if you're eligible, you have an idea for a project, there is an application on our website. And again, I'll send out all these materials afterward. They are due on February 28th. Please feel free to ask me any questions if this is your first time or even not. If you have any sort of question, is this eligible? Am I eligible? I'm happy to answer that, and I can always ask my FTA contacts as well. So one thing to note is that when the application asks you to relate back to the goals of the HSTP plan, and something I was going to share in my coordinator report just after this is that our HSTP document that if you were around in December or really before, that was officially approved by our Tri-County board. So we're happy about that. And that shows these 4 goals. So it's just something to think about when you put together the application. And there is a set of evaluation criteria. This is listed on the application. It's not a secret. In fact, I would recommend that you look at these just so you can write a response that is related to these so you can get funded. I would love to fund everybody, but I can't guarantee it. So this is a good way to bump up your points. And then this is just the timeline. So we released our call for projects January 18th. We are going to wrap it up on February 28th. Again, if you have any sort of questions, ask me before then. We hope to hold an HSTP urban subcommittee meeting. That would be a special meeting on March 7th. And I will get with the relevant folks via email later on to hopefully hold that meeting, and also anybody else who's interested, but since it's only for the urbanized area. And then after we've selected the projects, then it's on me to apply for them officially through the FTA. So there is a secondary process as well. Just as a note, Tri-County collaborated on this gray area project in 2021, and it outlined different areas within our Peoria urbanized area that do not have good public transit representation. And so if you are in any of these areas, again, if it's too small or you can't see the screen, then I will send this to you afterward. But if you're in any of these areas, then I especially hope that you can apply and hopefully bring more service to those areas. And then just as FYI, we would just have some regular reporting if you do receive the award. And finally, like I said, just ask me if you have any sort of questions. And I wanted to keep this relatively short, but that is an overview of what it means when I say 5310 and how you could potentially apply. So knowing all of that, does anybody have any questions or comments about this program? All right, so I will send all of the details regardless, and you can always ask. I will be happy to help. All right, so moving on to agenda item 6, which is me again, HSTP coordinator report. I have just a few things to mention. So let's see. Yes, I mentioned that our HSTP document has been officially adopted by our board, which is wonderful, and that is something that we try to do every 5 years. This time, IDOT allowed us a little bit extra wiggle room because they gave us more guidance. So we had some more specific outlines of how the plan was supposed to look and the components of it. So it does look a little bit different from the last one from 2016, but it does include all that it needed to include. And we will have that up on our website pretty soon. I will say that one thing that IDOT asked us to include is a list of public transit or transportation options in our region that are outside of the regular public transit means, I guess. So I did kind of a broad search of things like churches or community centers that advertise on their website or in some way that they offer rides. And it's a very high level, analysis, so that meaning that there's definitely things that I missed. So it's kind of an informal list, but I wanted to bring it up again now because so another one of my hats that I wear as the transit coordinator is that anybody who needs a ride, who has tried in several ways to find one, but has not succeeded, they call me and they ask, where should I go? And sometimes I have a good answer, and that's wonderful. And other times it's kind of a tougher situation. So recently I got a call that it was kind of a struggle to find a specific ride for that person. And so I was able to send them part of this list because some of the churches and maybe community centers might be able to help. So if you happen to know of any agencies like these, even for-profit, taxi companies, things like that, send them my way, because even though the document is updated, I have got my own list as well, and I can keep adding to it. So in case I ever get any calls, then I can have just more options to offer people. So there's that. Another thing I wanted to mention, there is the Rural Transit Assistance Center Conference happening in March. So that's March 7th and 8th in Springfield. I know I see some of you guys there. And if anybody is interested, that is free. So I'll include a link as well. There's just a lot of good information about rural transit options and different topics that would be relevant and interesting to people who work in rural transit. Another thing is that, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting as well, 5310 vehicle program reviews. So this is one thing that used to be more regular several years ago, but anybody who has vehicles through the Consolidated Vehicle Procurement Program through IDOT does need to get periodic reviews. That means that I go and do kind of a day-long or half-day-long review process for the vehicles themselves. And I will contact you if you fall into this category. But IDOT has helped restart this program. So just a heads up for anybody who falls into that category. And finally, I wanted to bring up one other quick thing. Let me share my screen here. Let's see. All right, so I'm just sharing our Tri-County website, and there's nothing too new here except for one major thing. And actually, several of your organizations already do this, but this is new to us. So we have added an accessibility feature to our website. I know that just off the top of my head, Epic has this, and Greater Peoria Mass Transit District, I believe they also have this. I'm sure that others do as well. But it's basically this little button that you can click. It shows a person on the side of the screen, and you can, it has options to increase text. It has options for different colors, so you can see the website in grayscale or high contrast. These are all options for so either people with visual disabilities or learning disabilities, just to change it in ways that makes it more readable. So I just wanted to outline that. I was happy we were able to get that for our website. And maybe an idea, if you don't have something like this, we did have to go through our IT person, but they were able to figure out. So just want to outline that accessibility feature for anyone who was not aware. And actually, that's all I have for my report. Does anyone have any comments there about anything I said? All right, and I will move right along to agenda item number 7, which is other. And this is anything else that anybody has. So I'll give one more chance to share out. All right. I think I'll call it there. Well, I appreciate everyone who's joined us, and thanks again for being part of this group. And like I said, if you have any questions about the funding program, as well as any informal transit opportunities or transportation options that exist in your community, send them my way and I'll add to my list. And besides that, I will adjourn. It is 12:39 p.m. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Rima.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.